GSL Season 2.
Welcome back, everybody. Quite the set of games we've had so far. It might be 2-2-0s, but man, have they been long, crazy endgames. All of them, actually.
Yeah, Kira going for the exhaust play versus SOS, working it to perfection with defensive macro TVP, and then ByuN kind of going for the same attempt versus SHIN, especially in that map number 1, but SHIN's just been looking so good, in particular at ZBT lately. He might be the best ZBT player that we have here in Korea. Now he's going to be going up versus Cure in the winner's match.
Yeah, this is going to be a great match. This was a match I wanted to see, but didn't think we were going to get in the finals day. I wasn't sure who was going to win with Cure and Hero, but it's funny. I thought Mara was going to win against SHIN. I don't think I'm alone on that. I think everybody kind of suspected it. It's why it made for such a great finals. But Cure is really strong. Now, the fact that SHIN he didn't smash. He beat Maro 3-2. He just beat ByuN, and ByuN put up a good fight as well. Can Cure do it? Because Cure is always vying for that top spot. He's always top 2 Terran in Korea. This should be a great ZVT. We already have a lot of data on SHIN and how he likes to play. What kind of game is Cure going to give us?
Yeah, SHIN's basically running the gauntlet over the last few days of all of the best Korean Terran players. He took down Maru in the semifinals of the GSL a couple of days ago, and then he took down ByuN. Now he's going for Cure, the trifecta here. Can SHIN make it a clean sweep and be the first player to advance from the round of 12 into the round of 8? Game 1 loading in on Winter Madness. Let's go.
All right, Cure here in the bottom right. SHIN in the top left. And, I want to see, will we have any proxy hatcheries here? Any weirdness? Is Cure going to rely on what seems to be almost untouchable late game ZVT here? The Ultralist tech, on 4 to 5 hatches, the chitinous plating bust. SHIN did bring 2 extremely different brands of ZVT. We have, I guess what now is almost off-brand, although it used to be kind of the mainline opening, which is Ling Mutabane. But what is more common with both, the likes of SHIN or Rogue, is to go for Roach Ravager, kind of power up into Infestor, Ultra, and try to break them that way. By the way, if you had covered the IDs up today and showed me who's doing what, I would have thought this was ByuN. So.
Yeah, this is the Wallen that ByuN popularized a couple years ago in the GSL Code S. Usually culminates in Terran going for, I want to say 3 or 4 Reapers has become fairly standard, although back in the day when ByuN was doing this for the very first time, we would sometimes see up to 5 or 6. As we really have a different couple of objectives that you can accomplish with the different Reaper counts. 2 or 3, they pair up very well with Hellions as the mid game. Of course, those Hellions, because you spend less gas on the Reapers, they come online a little bit more quickly than you would expect them to. And so, get some good economic damage done that way, keep creep spread under control. But once you get up to 4, 5, or maybe even 6 Reapers in total, suddenly it becomes very complicated for the Zerg player to actually take a 3rd base with any kind of speed, because at that point, the Reapers, they're a real threat to the health of the hatchery, and especially on a map like Winter Madness, it's a bit tough to get the Queens to actually walk all the way down to the 3rd base to defend it. So let's keep our eye on exactly how many Reapers Cure is going to go for here in game number 1.
Okay, the Reaper's going to come up. We're going to have that dance we've had so many times before. It's all going to be about the Reaper pressure. We're going to see when the Reapers actually stop. I think they might be stopping shortly here. We only have 1 being made. There's different variations on how many Reapers you can get and what you can do with those Reapers, but in modern play, it's much more common to kind of wind down the Reapers earlier. And we got 8 Lings coming back here. Now, the Zerg did get the 3rd hatchery thrown down. It seems like, Cure went for more pressure instead of trying to, deny the drone from getting that 3rd hatchery. 8 more Lings are coming here. Can't really do anything against Reapers until you have Ling speed. And, you know, at this point in time, Terrence knows, like, the exact second that the Ling speed is going to finish.
Yeah, and Kira, I think, has not spotted the third hatchery down here in the central location. I believe he checked the triangle expansion, but I think he's still in the dark, even with the Reapers retreating across the map right now, about this hatchery here. And so Kira might be thinking that he's playing with a third command center underway, whereas SHIN is safely contained on 2 bases, but that is not, in fact, the case. SHIN is macroing up to that third expansion, potentially going for a counterattack as well with these Zerglings, although Kira already has a nice hold at the natural with this wall in.
Yeah, Kira looking very, very healthy here. You know, just a game where you're going to power up. You kind of get here in a different way. The Reapers can then pair with the Hellions, and you can kind of continue with the pressure. Although I think he only made 1 Hellion. Is that correct?
Yeah, just 1 Hellion.
So this is, I think, a bit of a fake out here. You might expect, good job here taking this out, by the way, although we'll see the command center. I do feel like people should be maybe a little bit more secretive about the command center, where they place it. Anyways, I think when you see 1 Hellion, you might think there's more coming, but what he's doing instead is he's going to switch into the core army build, which is the Marines and the tanks. He's already getting stim here, and basically have a stronger push. Now, I'm not used to seeing this, but I guess with a Banshee, oh, I guess you could just do this instead. Okay. For some reason, I thought you had to see up there to hit that. The Lings are going to come down here. They actually get a surround on that, but I think with Marines and Reapers, that's not going to be, Lings are not going to be enough to take that out. So he takes out the Overlords and backs up. I like Kira's opening so far. He's done a good job of basically, you know, teching, kind of doing the harass tech at a minimum, but then doing the powering tech, which is the Marines and Stim and everything else. Getting that pretty soon. He's going to land that 3rd CC. I mean, Kira's playing a really, really clean game.
Yeah, it's been an excellent early game here for Kira. I like his build order a lot. That's a healthy number of Marines to have on the field right now. And Kira's going to use them to very safely secure his 3rd expansion already as the orbital flies down from the main base into the 3rd. Double engineering base now getting started here by Kira, so upgrades will be begun in just a moment. And on SHIN's side of things, it's just normal natural development. We don't have any big tech coming through. It's actually mostly a gasless build. It's just the 1 Vesping Geyser in the main base, 1 gas now being taken in the natural expansion. SHIN focusing primarily on getting a healthy number of queens, getting up the 4th hatchery, getting a lot of Zerglings here onto the field with 16 more in production. A lot of drones. Already 59 workers in total, now make that 62. SHIN is playing a very mineral-heavy early game ZVT.
Yeah, the first poke's going to come in here for Kira, taking an Overlord out, barely supply blocking the Zerg. The hatchery goes down. A pretty slick timing. Again, this is all because of the corner cutting that we saw early on. I mean, this Reaper's actually making a pretty big difference with the grenades versus the Lings. I mean, right when you think you'd have a surround, Kira's able to push through. I actually get a little bit worried here for Kira. I mean, SHIN lost. I'm sorry, I meant getting worried here for SHIN is what I meant to say. Kira actually took out a lot. Traded really nicely. He's probably going to come down here and scan again.
Yeah, Kira already able to deny the 4th expansion here in game number 1. And I think this is enough Lings that you're just going to pick up and try and get out of there right here as Kira. Oh! barely surviving. 38 HP left on that medevac.
I mean, when you consider that Terran lost virtually nothing there, and Zerg bled off a decent amount, you've got to imagine the next attack that's going to come out is going to be pretty strong. SHIN double expands. Ooh. Macro hatchery here as well, so he's basically going to try to fight from here.
Yeah, SHIN adding in 3 hatcheries right now in this moment. This tells me that SHIN just basically wants to pet play Lings and eventually probably Ling Baneling for a very long period of time. And that is the most larva-intensive army composition in the game. So he's going to need a lot of hatcheries to be done. And he also needs a little bit of time to get those hatcheries online. So he's going for a counterattack here. Unfortunately for SHIN, Kira is well positioned with the reinforcements rally to the natural expansion wall in. Those Lings will instead have to look towards potentially setting up either a counterattack at the 3rd base of Kira or going for a surround. The aggressing force that Kira has between the 3rd and 4th bases of SHIN.
Okay, Hydralis Den coming here too. And Kira's going to try to push in. If he can get this hatchery, it's going to be huge. There's a lot of Banes. This is actually might be harder than it looks. 1-1's going to be done, so there could not be a better moment to try to hit. Everything from Kira is just so in sync. He has to actually move now. In fact, I think he can just target the touchdown. Maybe not. He's going to try to sustain. Shin's going to lose this game if he can't take this out. Oh my god, you know, Cure's... Okay, he does it. I was going to say, Cure's targeting was almost good enough that it just took out the Banes. He's down here again. Oh my god. And there's not any Banes. This is 2 different attacks on each of these bases. Remember the base that we just saw the fight happen at? He could easily come back over there. He's going to pick up and go up into the main. The base at the top right could be hit again here.
I think it likely will be. We have more reinforcements streaming across the map right now for Cure, this time with an accompaniment of tanks. Cure just keeps pivoting. Finally, there are Hydralisks on the field that will put a stop to the madness of this medevac going up and down on this 4th base for Shin.
This base is so low. Okay, it's going to be at half health again. There are no Banes, just Banes morphing. He's going to try to fish in the Hydras and the Queens.
Shin trying to break through this position. The Hydras and Queens doing a lot of the heavy lifting there on the back line. Siege tanks do get cleaned up, so Cure's going to have to evacuate from this position. You don't want to lose your medevacs here already. One of them falling.
Oh my god, this is still here.
It's only 6 Marines, but it might be enough. Hatchery down to 500 and some change HP.
Cure is so annoying in this game. And the push is going to come in. It's looking so robust. The Banes are done, though. More Banes are being morphed.
Banelings are done, but Cure is now adding in double factory Widowmine production, which is really going to help. And I think Shin realizes he has to forfeit this expansion here at the top center. Those Banelings, they are going to finish up, but there's too much distance between them and the Marines. They're going to retreat down to the 3rd expansion here for Shin.
The split pushing is god tier. I mean, he is just so good at what he's doing. He's going to dive in again. Going to try to target down the Banes. It's just Ling Hydra now. Ling Hydra is hard to fight. Bane, oh my god! Oh, actually nowhere near as good as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, most of the Widowmines, I think, got focused fire, but excellent Widowmine control there by Cure during that engagement. You could see that Shin would section off very small numbers of Lings and move command them past the Terran army, trying to get the Widowmine shots to detonate so the rest of his army could move in. And Cure, during that engagement, had the wherewithal to actually unburrow and then reburrow the Widowmine so that he didn't have any friendly fire, so that the shots were not wasted. Excellent control there by Cure as he continues to ramp up the pressure, now scanning and clearing the creep in the center of the map, setting up for an attack at the triangle expansion and this forward base in the center. Meanwhile, Shin expanding back to the top right. Keep in mind, Shin playing this very larva-intensive style. He needs these hatcheries, not just for the minerals, but also for the production.
Okay, he's going to drop it again. And we're going to see this hit pretty hard here. The Banes are going to come through. There's a Widowmine over here, and it's going to go onto the Hydras.
Pretty big hit. Takes out 1 Hydra, injures 3 more, and now Cure collapsing in again. Once more denies the base at 1 o'clock, and now pushing into the center.
I mean, Cure is just so insane. He's doing so much damage. He's just hitting so many locations. I mean, you could just see Shin's almost getting strangled out of this game. This is a maxed out Terran, hitting from 2 different angles. He might even want to actually just regroup and do a full-on push and just send it over here at this base on the far left.
Another good Widowmine connection, catching some more Lings. Hydras will be able to at least take out 1 medevac on the retreat, but the supplies really tell the tale right now. Cure, he's been powering up, he's been re-expanding, taking the 4th base now during all of this, churning out his upgrades as well. He keeps getting bigger economically back at home, and at the same time, he is doing so much damage to the engine of Shin. Another hatchery might get canceled here, just a little bit out of position. Cure trying to focus fire that down while setting up for an attack in the center. Cure is everywhere.
I mean, this is so taxing, the micro that's going on here. Once again, Shin's going to try to come in here. The Banes need to get the right connects. Maybe not the best control here by Cure. He kind of had some idle Marines there in the back, but he will pick off these Banes. That's going to be impactful later on.
Wasn't the best micro we've seen from Cure yet, but that trade, given the economic position of both players, it is cost-effective enough. As Cure continuing to churn out more and more reinforcements as they stream across the map. Shin, he's trying to pivot into a Lurker Den with high-tech upgrades coming through in just a couple of minutes. That is the long-term plan here for Shin to try and stabilize, but Cure is really levying a lot of pressure, trying to deny this base once more.
I mean, it's crazy that Shin's even been in the game for this long. Cure's been maxed out for minutes and is basically, I almost wonder if Cure might want to, like I said, regroup. Like, it does feel like, okay, but the Banes are and the Hydras are just enough that you can't actually hit either side anymore. Zerg's big enough, but he's going to keep going for it. Kira's going to come in again. A lot more gas is being dumped into these Banes. We do have the Lurker tech coming here eventually, although Shin's going to not have a lot of gas for Lurkers because he is forced to make Banes, because he is, you know, on the verge of being broken in these two positions that keep getting hit over and over and over. Queen's going down.
Kira getting some more damage done, trying to put a timer on this hatchery to force Shin to attack into him. Shin is going to go for the engagement, sees the line of Widow Mines behind this bio, has to disengage. And Shin now going for a counterattack. Shin behind all this somehow has worked his way to a maxed supply, and now he's trying to get damage done on Kira's side of the map for the first time in a long time. But Kira able to clean that up with the reinforcements, now pushing in once more to this expansion on the left side. Shin has done such a good job of keeping up with this pressure. As you said, I mean, Kira feels like he's been maxed for minutes, and now Shin really getting a swing of momentum in his favor, is able to clean up this army. All of the medevacs, I think, are on the top right side, and yeah, look at that, Kira, he peels back a ton of them and go back home, recognizing the issue. There's 11 medevacs on the field, and they were all in the top right.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of insane that Shin's still here somehow, like despite everything that Kira's doing. If Shin can burst out and shut down one of these big pushes, I think Shin can explode on the map. Kira's on 5 bases, which is a lot for Terran. That's a lot. And maybe Kira split pushed for a little bit too long. It seemed like there was, you know, minutes going by where he seemed like he was going to win the game, like he was on the verge of it, to the point where, like, I take my jacket off when I cast, and when I think it's over, I always put it back on. My jacket's on right now. It's on right now. I don't cast well when I got the jacket on, but I thought, okay, I'm going to be sitting back down in the chair. I might be on camera again here. And Shin continuing to be this little explosive force in the corner. Liberators are now going to be incorporated into the push. Zerg with bigger oh my god, these mines!
Those mines being picked up by Shin on the front line. So much of Kira's army is pivoting away from being a biocentric force and being much more tech heavy. And I feel like that is not really pairing well against what Shin is doing. Ooh, well, that was a really good Widow Mine shot.
Nice splat there. The SCVs are going to be pulled. He's going to go and just pop the planetary.
There's so many medevacs. And the Liberators, too. I mean, these parasitic bombs doing huge damage. But right now, Kiri's on at least 2 factories and 3 starports. We have 11 Liberators with 5 more in production. There's almost double-digit medevacs. We're going to have more flying units for Terran in a moment than we're going to have bio.
So crazy.
Or at least close to it. I mean, this is kind of absurd.
It's so insane to see Zerg taking this center lower left base.
And it's also insane to me that Shin right now is taking the energy from the hatchery on the front line instead of one of the safer hatcheries. I mean, I understand that time's of the essence. You want these Vipers to be full on energy and not have to scuttle all the way from the top left side of the map into the fight, but...
Oh, hold position, Lurkers!
Oh, big first volley, able to clean up a lot of bio. I mean, I don't know what these Liberators are really going to be able to get done. I guess it's not something that I see very often in Korean TVZ, so I'm not sure where this is going to go.
Well, I think it's good versus Lurkers, right? Because you just, Lurkers can't do anything, so you kind of run in here and you go, get out.
I guess it's also good against the paltry number of Hydralisks that we have right now.
Yeah,
for
that's true too.
But I mean, Parasitic Bomb is doing so much damage. I mean, there's a lot of attrition right now onto these Liberators. Eventually, you think Shin, he's going to get the Spire done, he's going to have a big swell of Corruptors, and that will clean up basically everything, right?
He's going to come in again. And, I mean, this Nidus could be massive. What's actually back here? Oh, I think he's going to barely deny this in time. Yeah, it's just going to be enough that you can't finish it.
Yeah, the Liberator is also excellent at dealing with these Nidus plays, because if just Lurkers pop up, well, then the Liberator is going to siege on them from the high ground. You scan, and eventually everything will be cleaned up. Only lose a little bit of infrastructure. So the game's quieting down a little bit. Shin trying to find some damage with the counterattacks, trying to go for some Nidus networks, but nothing really connecting. We have a crazy situation with 16 Liberators here, for Kira. The Spire is now done for Shin. He's maxed out, so he can't really do a big tech switch into the Corruptors or into Mutalisks or anything like that just yet. And Kira's starting to get closer and closer to this forward base, which, keep in mind, Shin was harvesting energy from. It's very low on HP. He's doing it again.
Yeah, you know, it seems like these Liberators can't really contest the Lings and the Banes. The Hydras eventually drive the infantry back, and then the Lings and Banes drive it back, and then the Hydras can actually shoot down the Liberators.
My goodness, what a brilliant play by Shin, too. Going for that engagement, he knew he would push Kira back, and so he dropped the Nidus Canal between these expansions. If Kira just went on autopilot and continued to stutter step back towards his bases, the Lurkers would have destroyed absolutely everything.
Yeah, he would have walked right into that, which would have been crazy.
It's a move I feel like we basically never see in ZVT, but I mean, Shin, he's just been playing so well.
Is this double Nidus or single?
I think it's just single.
He's making another one here. Oh, never mind. I think that was the Nidus. It was morphine over there. But yeah, Shin extremely strong with these Nidus plays. So, where is Kira and Shin at here? Shin's been kind of on the same number of bases. He's had some ambitious bases, you know, in the lower left and the upper right. He hasn't managed to keep them. Parasitic bombs. Oh my God, these are crazy on these Liberators. Just decimating everything.
6 Liberators that fell to that Parasitic bomb, just huge. Kira has the bigger economy expanding into the bottom left corner of the map, so he can't afford to replace this. Almost a role reversal right now with Terran economy being much bigger than Zerg. It's a miracle that Shin has survived this long, but I think Kira might finally just have enough. It seems like Shin is hanging on, but this is most of Shin's forces here in the top side. If you look at the minimap, there is a lot of reinforcements coming for Kira in just a moment.
Yeah, and I don't know that Zerg can fight this part off. And I think the periphery bases are going to be a little bit too weak. One, Infestor kind of just moseys in and gets killed off. Not enough Banes, not enough Hydras, not enough anything here for Zerg. The Baneling Morph is ill-timed. GG. Kira takes game 1. And I got to say, Kira's the first Terran that I think really was able to go toe-to-toe here with Shin. Shin, you know, but Kira also had maybe one of the best mid-games you could ever ask for. Poked out the 4th and then was basically pressing on the 4th and the 5th, the new 4th and then the 5th, so hard that there was really no way to kind of hang on. Yet Shin somehow did. But when Shin was able to come back on the map, Kira was too big by then.
It's such an impressive game 1 by Kira. Absolutely everywhere. I mean, it felt like the 2-prong attacks, the pressure in the early game was going to collapse Shin at any moment, but somehow Shin was able to survive 6, 7, or 8 minutes after that and make the transition into Hive, which is just otherworldly to me. But Kira was in a winning position in game number 1 from what felt like basically the onset all the way through the end. Shin just fighting to survive. And let's see if Shin can break through and tie things up now in game number 2 against a Kira who is looking incredibly strong.
Okay. Kira in the bottom left here, Shin in the top right. Are we going to have any kind of crazy plays? We have actually one SCV going all the way across the map. So at least one proxied Rax. I actually don't.
There's the second one on the minimap.
Okay, there we go. I was going to say, are we going to have another one? So before we had the second SCV come in, I was going to mention that we have seen like 1-1-1 proxy. From Kira, although I guess, was he doing that against Protoss?
Yeah.
What am I talking about? Sorry, guys. So it's going to be a double Rax.
Oh, triple Rax. There's the third SCV coming. Okay, so Kira's going completely all in with this.
Yeah.
Oh, I like this mix-up. I'm thinking back to all the ZVTs that Shin has played. First versus Maru, then versus ByuN, and then, of course, game 1 versus Kira. I can't think of the last time, or I can't easily remember the last time where there was something like a 3 Rax build versus Shin. He's mostly been tested in the mid-game and the late game.
Right.
And obviously, Shin is capable of dealing with this if he scouts it. Obviously, he knows how to deal with a 3 Rax build. But just in terms of the games that Shin has been playing at the tournament level, the fact that they've mostly been macro games, I think this is a very well-timed switch-up by Kira to come in because it might catch Shin completely off guard.
This is smart. It's down and dirty. It's going to hit like a bus, and Shin's not scouting. It's on a big map here, too. You know, sometimes these, strong Zergs, they'll squeeze out 1 or 2 more drones to get into a better position because they know how tight the mid game is going to be. And we had an extremely tight mid game in that last game, right? So he might just be thinking, okay, I'm going to get a little bit greedier here. Here we go. He didn't, maybe save it a Flarva. 2 SCVs immediately coming down here. The bunker starts. The hatch finishes. It's on.
Yeah, no banking of Marines at all.
Ro.12. Sorry, like SCV in the main.
No, you're
Extractor!
Roachborn in a second extractor. So that tells me that SHIN is going to completely forego trying to defend the natural expansion.
Yeah.
I think he's likely going to opt into Roaches and some Ravagers.
Oh, got both links too.
In the main base and try and normalize this game by using Bile to take down the bunkers and eventually resecuring the natural expansion. But I'm not sure if this is going to work out against what Kira's got. Kira's a lot of momentum behind him. Kira's still building SCVs, by the way, back at home. So it is possible to transition out of this play.
Yeah. No, he's going to try to set up to be in a great spot here later on. And so what happens is we're going to have a layer. He's going to try to use Ravagers to break the bunker. Okay, I think there's 1 link en route.
And a tech lab actually gets started by Kira on one of those forward barracks. Oh, that is interesting.
Oh my God, he's going to go Marauder.
Yeah, Marauder, or even
it.
could potentially save up for stim. I mean, if you pull enough Marines, you might only get 1 good stim out of them, but imagine 20+ Marines eventually stimming in.
Yeah.
You know, you're already basically the main base of Zerg.
He took out the Overlord too. This is like such perfect play.
Okay, it's
What
going to be
HP
Marauders
is the
and
Ling
concussive.
at? Do you want to like lower that and have 2 SCVs attack that?
That's a good idea.
You know?
Why even go for the repair here? Just pull 2 SCVs. I guess the Ling would run away.
Yeah. Okay. So he's making. Oh, dude, he's so good. Ladder's gonna suck this week, by the way, Zergs, because this build is like so perfect. What he's doing. So I'm used to seeing a variation where people expand behind this.
Oh, it's a Nidus Worm for SHIN.
Oh my God.
So this is really peculiar. SHIN is going for the Nidus play. So SHIN is committed to just trying to break this right now. He might even use the Overlord, near Kira's natural expansion, or the Ling to get vision into the main base.
Here's what's funny. If he goes for the Nidus, he's going to lose a lot of stuff in his main, but can't Terran just run up in here and kill everything?
Yeah, and Terran can also fly. So I think SHIN might be gambling a little bit, and it makes sense given what a tricky position this is. He might be gambling that Kira's going for the macro play behind this, trying to re-expand, but Kira's actually got tech labs. He's turning out Marauders. Kira's staying on 1 base. He's getting stim now. He's not planning to expand. I don't even know if he's seen the Nidus, and he's going to push up the ramp.
Yep, he's going to go ahead and spread the damage out here. Our SCV is going to be pulled with this.
I mean,
This
SHIN
is
was
so weird. Okay, the Roaches are going to come through. Does that prompt Kira to come up here now?
Seems it does. Only 1 Marauder left, though, so there's not too much DPS. The Marines and Marauders slowly getting whittled down by the Roaches and the Spine on the high ground.
Okay, SHIN wins this. There's no way to recover.
Wow.
That's crazy.
What
wow,
a game.
GG. Beautifully done. That was something else. What a different TVZ that was. I loved what Kira was doing. Yeah, you could see the Nidus play was not really something he saw as a possibility.
Yeah, I think Kira was kind of on the same page that we were, where he's like, oh, well, SHIN's probably going to try and hold this with as few Ravagers as possible, where he can just mile down the bunkers and then re-expand and things are going to normalize, but I'll trick him. I'll build tech labs, I'll get stim, I'll get Marauders all 1 base, and when he tries to get down to natural, I'll be able to break through. Well, no, SHIN goes into a lair, gets a Nidus network. By the way, that Nidus, perfectly placed. The Nidus was in a position such that if Kira pushes up the ramp the way that he did, the units that SHIN has in Kira's main base can immediately go back home, unload, and be in the fight within seconds. That was very well placed by SHIN, and really a perfectly executed response to what Kira was doing. I thought with the unscattered 3 racks, with the deny of the natural expansion there of SHIN, with a clever switch up of going into Marauders with concussive and then stim, Kira's in a very good position, but the Nidus just pulling the rug out from under him, and now SHIN has tied the series up 1-1.
We're going to go to White Rabbit here for Game 3 and find out who's the first survivor, moving on to the round of 8 in Day 1 of Season 2 of the GSL.
All right,
Kira top right,
Yeah,
SHIN bottom left.
faster than me,
Sorry.
Tasteless.
Sorry. Sorry.
You're on a roll.
In those contained games, there's an interesting thing I've seen in StarCraft where when you get contained, you know, I think the temptation from the guy containing you is to expand, right? Because it's like, well, I've got him contained, and if I get one base up and I keep it up for a while, I just win, right? Because, you know, I'm just going to have that much more. But I have also seen this concept where you just, the guy that contains you expands literally as late as possible and just tries to keep you both on one base, but take advantage of the contain. And then, you know, at the last second you take a base and they just don't quite have enough. Because your infrastructure down there, like the bunker, the repair, everything, makes it a little bit harder to fight. And that's kind of what Kira's going for. But SHIN with just like some really smart, you know, kind of a judo flip of a build. Like everything you have is down here. I still have my ramp. So the weak spot's actually in your main. Impressive.
SHIN played a great game, thinking on his feet. And map number 2, and now we are all tied up, going on to White Rabbit, and kind of hoping that we gear up for another macro game here between these two, because game 1 was so much fun to watch. Just the relentless aggression by Cure, the tenacity and the determination to survive by SHIN. I wonder if we go into a mid-game where SHIN has maybe a little bit more success getting established. Let's say the 4th hatchery doesn't get canceled, say Cure isn't able to get too much economic damage done the way that he did in game number 1, and things are even. I'm really curious who that is going to favor in a straight-up macro game, because Cure looked so good in that game number 1, but you know, SHIN, he's fresh off of a 3-2 victory over Maru. He just took down ByuN in some really impressive macro games, the first match of this group. I hope we get something longer between these two.
Yeah, I mean, I think we will. I mean, Cure, I think, came with a really smart plan, but, I mean, SHIN just clearly had the answer for it. You know, SHIN, again, this is the best we've ever seen SHIN play. Like, he's so... oh, okay, he's not going to get that thrown. SHIN is just, like, able to flow through the game so naturally and come out to a really good spot. Again, it's a testament to how good Cure is that he was able to kind of go toe-to-toe with him. Looks like that SCV is actually not going to get killed off here. A little bit of a misstep by SHIN.
Chudling's not finding the connection, and Cure immediately throwing down a 3rd command center. So certainly building the framework to set up for a long macro game if Cure wants to go down this road. Although if we were to go for a real throwback build, something like an 8 racks, which we haven't yet seen today. We did have a 5 racks build from ByuN before the 4th command center, then some additional barracks, which was the closest that we've got. It would be a fun way to test SHIN here in map number 3. And Cure, just thinking back to that era of 8 racks TVZ, he was the master of it, in my opinion. He was the best player in the world at executing that 8 racks build.
I think so.
If memory serves, I think it
maybe him and Maru, or yeah.
I still give the edge to Cure. I think it was one of the reasons why Cure got, what was it, like a top 4 at EWC. It was a lot of that hinging on his TVZ, his 8 racks play. Cure's been so good at that build, but it's been out of the meta for quite a while now.
Now the Hellions are going to come up here, and he's going to do the dive. Okay, this could actually be really bad for SHIN. This is a lot of drones that are going to get killed here. All right, he still has 2 alive, which means 2 more volleys. 5 drones is good. 5 drones, the Hellions have paid for themselves and a little bit more. Terran going to go into Banshee Cloak. And, you know, Cure's been very good. Oh, my God. I can't believe he's going to do this.
Just running in again. I guess some of the drones are still bruised. How many more can you get?
Okay.
Seems like only 1 for now. SHIN a little bit better prepared for it this time. I think Cure might be able to snipe at least 1 more. Yeah, he gets it.
Well, you know, if this can, you know, pair up with the Banshees, maybe he's going to keep SHIN's drone count pretty low. Command center is going to land over at the 3rd base.
I think Cure just sending the Hellions into the natural expansion and seeing what he saw, which was just queens and drones, is feeling really confident right now to take this 3rd base very quickly, because there really isn't much on the ground here for Cure, but he can comfortably take that base and begin saturating it. It's in kind of a funny position, too. Honestly, on White Rabbit, when I'm playing this map on the ladder, I always feel a little bit of indecision in terms of which direction I want to expand. You can see the SHIN expanded linearly across the bottom side of the map, taking the 6 o'clock base. Like you're actually going for this more triangle type expansion, but it's kind of a long walk from the natural to the third to get there. So I wonder, you know, SHIN does have this Overlord spotting the natural of Kira. Does he know that this third base is done? Does he know that it's mining? Because SHIN might be in the dark.
Okay, the Hellions are going to come in again. This is the third act. The Hellions going to move in here to do damage. SHIN has really good defense with that. Perfect Evo chambers to block. Does not get the kill on the hatchery. You got to be careful with that. You know, sometimes you're not moving quick enough and that hatchery just gets popped. 300 minerals down the drain. The Hellions are going to come back in. And, I mean, the way that Cure is playing this feels like he is hinging this whole thing on basically hitting with a timing where there were just enough drones killed that, like, Zerg gets tipped over. I mean, he's playing like a maniac. I mean, these Hellions are frothing at the mouth. The counterattack here, does he actually get any? That was insane. Did he not kill anything?
Dude, this is so cool by Cure. That little position being utilized by the Marines.
Nook spot over here.
Oh, SHIN getting a much better trade right now. Actually, even then, well, I suppose it is a lot of SCVs, but
yeah,
the initial engagement was so cool by Cure, and my favorite thing about it was he had those two Marines in the front that were body blocking, right? They were holding up the choke. He only stimmed the one Marine in the back.
Yeah. He knew he needed him to soak.
Oh, man. Awesome play by Cure. Honestly, I think even though he lost a lot of SCVs, it might still be worth it because he took that third base so aggressively, you know? I mean, that base has been mining from the low ground for so often that the saturation alone might have made it worth it.
Okay, so here comes the push. And again, I mean, the way that Cure's playing this, oh my god, SHIN's probably got some great ideas with these counterattacks here. If you can slow the push down and make them come back, that's going to be pretty nice. Oh, the Lings are just kind of spreading like wildfire over here. Going up into the main now.
Yeah, this is pretty huge. 8 more SCVs falling. Unfortunately for Cure, a lot of these barracks were not close to completing their production cycle, so it's going to be basically the whole army coming back from the map to try and defend.
Terran made the army already, right? I mean, the SCVs were high enough in number. It's not like I think he's going to get slowed down with this. But here comes the push. Question is, were there enough cuts made by the Terran on the Zerg, excuse me, where the Zerg is going to be bleeding? And then this can finish him off. Now, Cure, by the way, was so scary in game 1 of this best of 3. Oh my god. Now this could backfire for SHIN. Sometimes you counterattack a whole bunch and the push just kills you. I don't know if that's going to happen here, but we're going to see. Again, you're killing SCVs, the push is already here. Cure's going to hit a low value target. It's basically a ghost town of a base, which, I don't know, man. This is the 6th base in the game.
I think it might be important just to take this down to use this position as a staging ground for the next push in, because there are some really good siege tank spots, specifically behind this mineral line and by the Vespene Geyser, that you can use to basically get set up and then start attacking the much more high value base. By the way, I mean, just so many Lings coming in once more to the third. Fresh mules, 3 of them, or at least 2 getting taken out. It's just so much economic damage. You can see it's really catching a lot of Cure's attention. He's been slow to push in towards this more valuable base. Wow, good control by Cure. Focus firing with the siege tanks and getting the scan to use it at maximum range. Takes out almost all the infestors.
Okay, he takes out all the creep tumors. The fungal connects, but there's so much here for Cure. Everything's going to come down to if SHIN can hold on. This is not a split push like game 1. This is basically everything together, working in unison, trying to crack this spot open. If he's able to break here, the top spot is going to fall. The counterattacks are turning into hits on the reinforcements, excuse me. There's a lot going on here. The medevac actually just gets picked off.
Oh, surprising SHIN actually won that engagement in the middle with the Lings. I guess the upgrade's just superior right now.
These Marines win this? This is insane.
Well, it's like just Queens.
It's just like, there's like the same number of Marines as there are Queens. Okay, that was an overextension. This actually might cause the push to fall apart.
The +2 Carapace upgrade here for SHIN is just absolutely carrying right now. Kara's playing so Marine heavy, and it's just +1 infantry weapons versus the +2 Carapace of the Zerg, that a lot of the DPS of Cure's army is being hindered. And even though it looks like these fights should go Cure's way, such as the reinforcements fighting the Lings in the middle, SHIN is getting the better end of a lot of these trades, even though he's in dire straits right now in terms of supply, specifically army supply. SHIN's been able to make this work, and he might be able to buy enough time to actually get some ultras on the field, which could totally change the outcome of this game.
Okay, so basically Kjær stopped reinforcing the push because he needed to curb the counterattacks. There were like, I've lost count of how many times 25 Lings have ran in here and done so much damage. And now that push is going to come down. I'm sorry, it's actually going to go to the left side of the map, so he's switched between a split push again.
Oh, first few ultras out on the field now.
Okay, so he's got the ultras out here, but now this push is going to come. The ultras make it a lot harder to just siege up and fight.
I believe ultra armor is already researched too, and this is a mostly marine force.
Yeah,
so
Titus plating's done.
Widowmine's getting a good shot in on the ultra. It seems like there just isn't enough accompanying the ultra to actually take the fight right now.
Yeah.
Marine should be able to take an out. Transfuse does come through, buys a little bit more time, but Kjær's just got a little bit too much, I think, Tasteless.
Yeah, you need Lings with this. And, you know, the Ultras go low. It's actually way less scary than you think. That's why the Widowmines are so important here. He picks up, he glides into the main.
That one ultra transfused maybe 5 or 6 times by SHIN. It's like his hero unit. It's like SHIN's playing Warcraft 3 right now with this one
That's
ultra trying to stay alive.
He's going to pick up.
Oh, he wishes it was a Tauren Chieftain. He would love a reincarnate on some of these ultras.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it just seems like Kjær is slowly edging away. And this hatchery is going to go down. The bottom center base, I think, should be saved by SHIN in time. Yeah, just a couple of Marines there, not able to focus fire down that hatchery. The thing is that SHIN's been reset down to 4 bases. He's back on equal footing economically here with the Terran. That's not where you want to be as Zerg.
Zerg does not have a lot of gas, and I think Terran just has enough that he's going to bust him. He just has enough where it's like, how are you going to really ever deal with my Marine Marauder now? You know, there's, you know, more Ultras than there are Zerglings right now in the game. And I think that basically SHIN's lost. I think Kjær's going to be going on first in this group. Again, Kjær is just God tier. Wow, look at that. He doesn't even have anything mining over here. He's like, why would I do that? Lings are going to counterattack here. And they're just going to run into my Widow Mines, and then I'm going to clean it up and land it again.
And Kjær is playing so brilliantly here. Game number 3, now attacking in. Once more going to deny this hatchery. SHIN on only 3 mining bases. There are a lot of Ultras here, but is it going to be enough? That's so many Marauders, Tasteless. 20 Marauders in total and a ton of Widow Mines to back them up. SHIN charges in, no more energy left, and GG is called. Kjær going to advance in first place out of Group A.
Nicely done there by Kjær. I mean, you could see SHIN kind of just running his hands through his hair like, man, what do I do? You know, the setup was good. So many Hellions just kamikazing in there and killing drones. Banshee's going for drones. And everything was about that push hitting and doing just enough that the bases were going to fall, the position would crumble.
I mean, that was just a perfectly played game by Kjær. I was so impressed with his macro and the way that he was able to split push and get damage done on multiple sides of the map, both in game number 1 and in game number 3. And it's funny because if you've never seen the first-person view of Kjær play, he actually looks really slow. And it's not that he is physically slow or that he's bad at multitasking. He isn't. He's very good. He's very fast. But he is just so calm with his control that he makes everything look easy. If you're curious and you've never seen it, I invite you to go watch some VODs. I know at EWC they did a lot of first-person views. Kjær is such a treat to watch. And so whenever I see him play a game like game number 1 or game number 3 versus SHIN, where he's doing all these fancy attacks and he's all in all every which way, I just know that, like, from his point of view, on his computer screen, everything looks so simple and so straightforward, and I love that about his play.
It was really impressive. We're going to go to the interview now and see how Kjær is feeling. He's moving on into the round of 8.
All right, Kjær, congratulations on your victory, your first place advancing from this group. The main question I want to ask you is about your first series versus SOS. Now, you played a very defensive style where you tried to max out and craft the perfect army. And I want to ask you, do you think that's the best way to play TVP in general, or is that specifically your approach to beating SOS?
일단 김도우 선수 1위 진출 축하드리고요. 일단 첫 번째 질문으로는 김유진 선수와의 이제 대결에서 좀 질문드릴 게 있어요. 아무래도 김유진 선수와의 대결에서 굉장히 좀 수비적으로 일관하시면서 좀 굉장히 천천히 나아가는 플레이를 선보이셨는데 지금 그게 이제 태프전의 좀 메타라고 생각하시는지 아니면은 김유진 선수를 대비한 좀 맞춤 전략이라고 좀 생각하시는지 궁금하네요.
일단 처음에 유진이 형이 무슨 빌드를 쓸지 솔직히 감이 안 와가지고 일단 좀 수비적으로 마인드랍 하면서 수비적으로 해야겠다 이런 생각은 가지고 있었는데 저도 상황이 좀 처음 나와보는 상황들이다 보니까 그냥 결국 평소에 하던 운영을 하게 됐는데 유진이 형이 아무래도 평소에 질럿 추적자 거신 위주로 게임을 하시다 보니까 중후반 갈수록 저한테 좀 힘이 실린 것 같아요.
Yeah, I mean, against SOS is actually you cannot expect what to face. So, that being said, I try to be defensive as possible, to just slow down and try to be macro as possible. So now I think I tend to be more defensive because I get to face the situations that I never faced before. So that kind of makes me to stick with the macro even more, and then be just turtle and be defensive, and then in a macro play, I think I get more advantage. And considering his play style, so yeah, I think that's the reason I got the advantage there.
Congratulations on winning today. You got top 4 in Season 1. What are your plans or expectations going forward in Season 2?
이제 시즌 1에서는 4강에 또 진출을 하셨는데 이번 시즌에서는 또 목표가 있다면 좀 어디까지 목표를 잡고 있으신지 궁금합니다.
목표라기보단 저번 시즌의 마지막에 준비를 좀 잘못된 방향으로 했던 것 같아서 이번 시즌은 좀 더 준비 잘 해가지고 그래도 첫 시즌 4강 갔으니까 결승까지 가보고 싶습니다.
Yeah, last season, yeah, I get some regrets on the preparation process for the semifinals and the semifinals. So that being said, I'll try to get more on the right direction as possible to prepare for the next stage and get the trophy.
All right. Well, congratulations. Good luck to you in the future of the tournament.
네, 감사합니다.
네, 감사합니다.
All right, guys. Well, that was a great series.
Yeah, Cure
That was sick.
looked so good over the course of today. I mean, I am just so impressed with his play, particularly versus SOS, the defensive style that he had, and then switching gears versus SHIN, one of the more aggressive Zergs. I mean, look at what we saw between ByuN and SHIN. SHIN is so hard to kill in the mid game, but Cure, especially in Game 1 and Game 3, was able to play and execute so well. He kind of made it look easy. I mean, SHIN did, of course, put up a fight, but my goodness, Cure. Wow.
Cure might be the best TVZ in Korea right now. Guys, we're going to go to a short break. Coming up next, we're going to eliminate one of our players. We'll be right back.